Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Two for Talking podcast. I'm your host, Corey Tusick. We've got comedian Joe Bartnick. You can check out his latest tour dates at joebartnick.com and check him out at the City Winery for Matt Light's Ugly Christmas Sweater Party on December 13th. And also New Year's Eve, if you're in Fort Myers, Florida, you can hang out with Joe Bartnick on New Year's Eve at Snappers. And then, as always, we have the great Josh Yohe with The Athletic. Guys, this past week, since we've recorded, the Penguins have played 4 games and won 3 of them. We, of course, had the blowout, bizarre loss to the Maple Leafs on Saturday night. Capped it off with a great win last night. And the most important thing that we can glean from last night is that Mr. Kyle Dubas must be a dedicated listener to this podcast because, Joe, he heard your cries for Boko and Mama to make the trip, and that was the first thing as soon as I saw Tristan Burroughs was sent down, I thought, I bet you Dubas listens to this and is like, you know what, Joe? I'm going to send him over to Broad Street.
You know what, Corey? I want to thank Mr. Dubas if he is listening, and I want to thank all the listeners. But it really is great minds think alike because I literally texted Josh, and I go, "It's time to bring up Boku, and it's time to bring up McGroarty." He goes, "Funny, I just put that in my article being published right now." And then I literally begged for it on my soft dub sponsored by DVE, my morning skate that I do just for DVE. I begged for it, and then lo and behold, it happened. And it was the most fulfilling roster we've had all year, Josh.
Joe, I know that had to be your favorite victory of the season.
It's not even close. I always say if we win 4 games a year, just make it be those 4.
And even in the first period, when you've got Blake Lizotte, like, sticks Garnet Hathaway in the nuts.
Well, I think he has lady parts, actually. Garnet Hathaway.
Well, wherever it is. Like, it was a kind of a dirty play by Lizotte. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's going to be paying all night for this. You do that right in front of the Flyers bench. They didn't go after him at all. And I have to think Boko had something to do with that. Boko was having words with Hathaway all night. I know for a fact after the game last season, Boko told me he tried to fight Hathaway 3 different times. He offered, and Hathaway said no all 3 times. I haven't talked with Boko yet, but it certainly looked like that was the case in the third period as well. The Flyers wanted nothing to do with him. That's the whole point. The Penguins were able to go out and play hockey. We did not see the shenanigans that we saw last month when these teams met in Philly. And by the way, listen, Boko, I understand, is not the most talented hockey player in the world. I thought he was more effective last night, aside from the tough stuff, just in terms of playing hockey, generating a forecheck, creating some energy. I thought he was more effective than a lot of guys that we've seen in bottom 6 roles in the last month. I don't even think it was close, Joe.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way, Josh, because I thought, and you guys remember, I thought one of the biggest disappointments of camp was that Boku didn't look good because I really wanted him to just make the team. He didn't look good. He played great last year for his skill set. Obviously the fisticuffs he's good at, but the actual playing of hockey, he was good enough at last year that it was fine. He is not good at all at camp, and that's why he deserved to go to Wilkes. But then his play last night was, it was just as good as competence. Incompetent brings nothing else.
Oh, it was better than his.
Yeah, but he brings nothing else to the table.
No, completely agree. He's had 10 or 11 games to do something, anything, and he hasn't. And Boko shows up. It was the same thing last season. I remember Boko's first game in Seattle. It was a Saturday afternoon in Seattle. Every time he was on the ice, you could feel the energy all the way up to the press box. Like he had people's attention. He was bringing a physical element without being stupid. Doesn't take bad penalties really. I really liked his game, and I spoke with some people who are around Wilkes-Barre daily, and they've told me in the last few weeks he's really started to play well. Like, he's looked like a different guy. His game has been outstanding. And Joe, he almost scored in the third period. Oh my God, he had a wide open cage. He hit the pipe. But I really liked his game. This isn't like, having an 80s goon out there that can't skate. He's not really one of those guys at all, even though he can fight like those guys. I liked everything about the presence that he brought last night. It was terrific.
And Muse really seems to know how to work his roster. So let's just say that, when everybody comes back, and, it almost is now an embarrassment of riches when everybody's healthy. Then Boko can eat the popcorn, but you have him for the old Patrick division rivalries.
That's right.
Have him for terrible Tommy. You have him when you need him. Because I was explaining to a friend of mine, there's nothing better than having the nuclear option.
That's right.
Okay, you want to hurt Sid? Okay, well, you'll be in a body bag because Boko can take the 10-game suspension.
Sure. No, that's right. I would have him.
That's what you have him for.
I would have him on this team all season, Joe. I really would. And, like you said, when you're healthy and you want to roll 4 lines, fine. There's some nights you don't need him. A lot of nights you don't need him. But if you haven't played a game in 3 days and you're fresh and the big boys can play a couple of more minutes a night already, you don't really need to roll 4 lines. And you're playing against a team with a bunch of tough customers. Like Tampa Thursday night's a pretty big, nasty team. I would expect we'll see him in the lineup again. So you pick and choose when you use him. And I will tell you this, too, about his personality, Joe. And I know a lot of analytics people will wave their hand at this and say it doesn't matter. He is a popular guy in that locker room. They just like having him around. The energy he provides off the ice, which isn't really something that's all that measurable, but I think it's an important thing. They love him. And I always tell people this. I've been saying this for 15 years. Anytime you ask Sid or Gino, any tough customer they've had over the years, whether it be going back to Eric Goddard or Ryan Reeves, whoever, they just like having those guys around. They like going to war with those guys on the roster. They do. And whether anyone else likes it or not, if they like it, and if it makes them more comfortable, that's way more important than anything else.
And you made a great point, Josh, a couple minutes ago. He doesn't take the stupid penalties.
No.
Which a lot of guys in his job description do.
Yes. Oh,
yeah. It's like they can't help themselves. They're just trying to get in the mix.
No, he's really smart about it. And I asked him about that last year. And he makes me laugh the way he speaks. He says, I just like to play the game with honor, even though I punch people a lot. It's a good line. I like that. But I know what he means. He's not a cheap shot artist at all. I just really like what he brought to the table last night. I liked his game. It's the best the fourth line has looked in quite some time, quite frankly. That's a credit to him. I would absolutely leave him in the lineup Thursday night against a very, very good and red-hot Tampa team. And let's talk about the other guy who joined the lineup, Rucker McGroarty. He almost scored on one of his first shifts. He got the real pretty feed from Kendall, just missed the net. Joe, we've talked about the possibility of a kid line. We got it last night. Koivunen is still fighting the puck. Like, I've never seen a player who needs to just score a goal more. I really think if he just gets one, he'll relax and just start playing.
Put him out there every time he has an empty net. Every time there's an empty net. Just get it over with.
But you can see the playmaking ability he has. I thought that was the best Kendall's looked in a while. And I think having somebody steady for him to play with every night is important. And Rucker might be that guy. I thought McGroarty played a pretty good game. And I think the more we see him, the better he's probably going to get.
Yeah, Rucker looked great. I actually thought that was one of Koivunen's better games.
Yeah, it was.
What I liked about Kendall's game was he got hit in the face. He was in the scrums. If we can teach him to hate Philly as much as Sid and Gino do, it's nice to bring the young kids up that way.
That's right. No, it's a really good point. I think it was Couturier caught him at the end of the second period with a little cheap shot.
Yeah.
And, of course, I don't think it was penalized because, the funniest part about that game, boy, the Flyers caught almost every call. Man, did they get a lot of calls last night. And I love that the Penguins were just unflappable. They just, okay, we'll go kill the penalties. It's a bad call, but okay. They just went along and handled it. And you're right. Kendall took a punch right to the chops. I'm thinking, oh, my God, another 18-year-old with a lot of talent getting abused in Philly. That's not smart.
Speaking of calls that didn't go our way, a fine young listener, watcher, I guess they say on YouTube, viewer, that's a better word, right? Josh, you work for the New York Times. Viewer, is that the correct?
That is correct.
Gino's, it should have been 6-1. Gino, I mean, I've seen some terrible goalie interference calls, but that was right up there.
Yeah, that wasn't much at all. That's one of those deals. If the score's different, it probably counts. That's how the NHL works. They always try to keep games as close as possible. That goal would have pretty much put the game away. So that's why they don't call penalties when you have a 2-goal lead. But if you're down 2, they'll give you the power play. It's just the way the league is. there was a little bit of contact, but it was initiated by the goaltender more than anyone. And they need to make up their minds, like some clarity. If this were 1995, it's no goal because his foot touched the crease, and that's all that mattered back then, which I think drove everybody nuts. But that, at least that was the black and white rule. Now nobody knows what goaltender interference is. Mike Sullivan, I used to worry about his blood pressure anytime I'd ask him the question. But he would get so angry, not because he thought the Penguins were getting screwed or anything, but he just didn't know what it was. Like it changes from one day to the next or one referee to the next. I thought that was a really ticky-tacky call. You want to encourage your players to go in front of the net and give a goaltender some trouble. I also don't blame Tocchet for challenging it. His team was desperate and he knew it. So it was a smart move on Dickie Tocchet's part. But that was a really, really touchy call. I didn't think the Penguins got any calls. I thought there was some gross embellishment by Konechny that didn't get called. We saw Kindle get high sticked in the first period right in front of the ref. Borky was not very thrilled about that. He had a good look at it and saw the ref look at it. There were 2 or 3 calls that really went against the Penguins, which I think makes what they did last night all the more impressive.
The Flyers go down easier than cold beer after you mowing the lawn. I mean, let's face facts. They do. They ever since Giroux, they always seem to find a way to fall down.
Right. And speaking of the Flyers, historically speaking, yes, the Flyers have a lot of tough customers. I found myself thinking last night, if I were a member of the Broad Street Bullies and I'm watching that game last night and I see Trevor Zegras doing these head fakes in Connor Clifton's face and Clifton just staring at him, just daring him to drop the gloves. What is Trevor Zegras doing? And he's a good hockey player, but I don't know if that act's really going to go over in Philly long term. Those are tough fans, and there's absolutely nothing tough about what he was doing.
How about them calling not Doers? What's his name? Sorry, I'm just drawing a blank. Erik Karlsson's partner, calling him the worst player in the league, and then he has that hell of a pass to spring Kevin Hayes on the breakaway. It was like
anybody who thinks Parker Wotherspoon's not a good player needs their head examined.
Yeah, thank you, Parker Wotherspoon. Sitting there,
I'm sorry. Who said that? Were you watching the Philly feed?
No, there was somebody was sharing, and you could hear or see one of the Flyers players say something like he's the worst player in the league, and then later at the end of the game he throws that great pass. It's like Philly. They've been shooting themselves in the foot since 1975.
It's funny because I was just saying on DVE that really there's so many positives to take from this season, but the fact that Parker Wotherspoon has been one of the best. Him and Karlsson are in the top 5 in shutdown defensemen. Yeah. They're up there with Taves and Makar. I mean,
that breakaway pass was elite. There's springing somebody on the breakaway, but that was an elite pass. And he, one thing I always say with defensemen is if they can make the first pass with regularity, that guy should be in the lineup all the time. And he's always makes it.
Well, Parker Wotherspoon, I think I mentioned this in my article, or maybe I didn't. I don't remember. I know I wanted to. Sometimes you don't remember to include everything you want to. So in case I didn't include this, I'm going to say it now. The Penguins have played 25 games this season. He hasn't had a bad game. He had one bad moment in Anaheim when he shot the puck over the glass with 2 minutes left. Penguins didn't kill the penalty. Okay, it happens. That guy has been a model of consistency for $1 million a season. And Dubas signed him for 2 years. So you have him for another year. I can't say enough about what a find he has been. This guy just is so steady. The perfect defense partner for Erik Karlsson, who I thought was outstanding again last night, by the way.
Karlsson was
How about Karlsson, Joe? I mean,
Karlsson was great. He was great. And on that note, I think Karlsson's maybe had 2.5 bad games.
That's about it. Yeah. He had a rough night in Philly last month when they played there, but he's going to have a couple of moments. He's human, but he's doing stuff too with his skating, Joe. There's once or twice a game he just dances on the blue line. It looks like he's trapped, and he gets out of it and creates offense. It's just stuff other players can't do.
Or his magicianship at the blue line when you're like, oh, it's going to be a 2-on-1 the other way, and somehow he still has the puck. He's played phenomenal. And Shea has played well. I was telling this, I was on DV this morning because I think that Jari was outstanding again. And Mike just can't. He's like, he's playing good enough to trade. Good enough to trade. He wants to get rid of him. And I said, well, if you do that, then Miroshov has got to come up and play because I've lost all hope in Shilovs. But I'm just gonna say, I'm trying to make this point is who else has sneakily played good enough to trade almost? And that's Mr. Graves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I thought last night was his best game.
I thought it was too.
And he was playing tough last night in Philly. He was throwing some punches. I was like, oh, who is this guy?
That's what made me think about it, though.
He showed me something. I didn't really love his games the previous 2 nights. I didn't think he was very good against Toronto or Columbus. So I was thinking to myself entering this game, like, all right, maybe he's coming back down to earth a little bit here. He was really good last night. And, yeah, he played with an edge. I don't know why he doesn't do it all the time. It drives you nuts when a guy that big, it's like, you're 6'5", 230, whatever you are. Like, for God's sake, will you please hit somebody in front of the net? Well, he was doing it last night, and he looked a little annoyed. I think the Flyers got under his skin a little bit. Maybe we need to see more of that. Maybe he's one of those guys who plays better when he's angry. I give him so much credit. He was outstanding. Like, Clifton and Dumba aren't great, but they're not going to kill you many nights either. Like, they're third-pairing guys, but they're okay. And I keep going back, Joe. Before the season, we said the single biggest problem with this team was the blue line. Hasn't been the case. Like, I have not liked Letang's game most nights. He's still making way too many mistakes. Although I will say one thing for Letang that I've picked up on. I think I'm right about it. The last 3 or 4 nights, I actually think he's skating better. Like, he looks like he's starting to get his legs back a little bit. He's jumping into the play and doing some good things. He just needs to stop making the mental mistakes in his own territory. It's just going to kill them. It's too much.
Yeah, it seems like he's been bad. It seems like because it was such a shock to watch him actually play defensively responsible the first half of last year.
Right.
That maybe I thought that was possible. Because now it just seems like he's back to bad. It's like he's just bad. He's bad Letang all the time, but he's our Letang.
Right.
It's never going to. It's never going to change.
No, you couldn't expect him at 38 to just change the way he plays. And I've seen, like I said, there have been some encouraging signs in his game. He won the game in Columbus in overtime, and I see him jumping into the play. He's made some. I think he set up Mantha last night. I mean, he made some really good-looking plays in the offensive zone the last 3 or 4 nights. So if he's going to bring more of that to the table, you can live with some of the defensive mistakes. But some of the mistakes he makes just drives you crazy. It's just hockey 101 stuff.
Well, yeah, Josh, because that's what gets me about Christopher is offensively, I think he's actually played better in the offensive zone as far as hitting the net, doing different things. I think he's not pinching as erroneously as he used to. I just think his play in his own end has not been good. He's like chasing behind the net. He's chasing in the corner. He's looking around. Someone will have a tap in, and it's like, well, where's Letang? Oh, he's standing right there looking the other way. It's like he's not playing good defense.
Right. He always has a look on his face like, it wasn't my fault. He's always great for that. There's never been a penalty that he was guilty of either. But and the thing about Chris, though, like, this is more like when Chris was in his prime. He always had this reputation for being a great offensive guy and not a great defensive guy. I think that was a little bit unfair. I thought he was the guy who made bad decisions sometimes, who would jump into the play when he shouldn't. But in his prime, I actually thought he was really good in his own zone. He was so unbelievably strong. You couldn't knock him off the puck. A great one-on-one player. You just give him, hey, that's your guy, one-on-one rush. Nobody's ever going to beat him, right? But that's the part of his game that I think has started to slip a little bit. And that's the frustrating thing with him. You can see the look on Ryan Shea's face. You want to be like, hey, here's Dumo's phone number. Give him a call. You guys can have a drink and share some stories. But that's just the way it is playing with Chris. But he's got to be better, though. He needs to just knock off the huge mistakes.
You're absolutely right, though, because I remember when everyone was all enthralled with him, like, say, like 13, 14, 15. I'm like, I just want him to play defensively responsible. And like, it's like, just play better defense. Like, yeah, you can do all the offense you want, but if you're just giving up goal, because in those days, I was just so mad. I thought he was the most exciting defenseman in hockey because the puck is going in the net in one direction or the other. Right. You just don't know which one.
Sometimes he would just need an assignment. Like, there were games even then when Ovechkin was still close to his prime When he'd be on the left wing and Chris played on. Chris would shut him down because he couldn't skate around him. Like So when he had that objective, just hey, you watch Ovi tonight. He could do that so well, but I think sometimes when he has to start thinking too much about responsibilities on the ice, for whatever reason, it just doesn't always compute with him.
It's like a kid with ADHD, like if you give them the focus on some task, then they're going to be great. But if they have the whole world as their oyster, they're going to just find a way to get distracted.
Well, that's what I thought, though. I didn't make the point as clear as possible. Like that's what I thought like in 13, 14, 15, 16. I thought it's like his incessant pinching and is always in the wrong position was bad. But I thought when he was actually in his zone, he played tough.
Yes.
And he played tough in front of the net. And he played
absolutely.
tough, and he would rock you in the corner. And he was a much more solid defenseman in his own zone than people. You're absolutely right, Josh. I just couldn't stand how he was always up ice.
Oh, he's actually a really good penalty killer when he's focused on it. Like he has all the physical attributes. He's great at clearing the puck because his wrists are so strong. He's really good. He's always been their strongest, most sturdy defenseman in front of the net. And, he has all those attributes. But boy, we talk about like defensive zone coverage and how it's not always great. How many times has he been the guy responsible for that bad defensive zone coverage? I'm not saying it's every time, but it's been him far too often for a 38-year-old guy. You can't have your veterans playing that way.
Yeah, when you're watching the game, listeners, and you see the defenseman that's standing there without their touching any forward when the puck goes in the net, just wait for the replay and you'll see why. You're like, oh, okay, that was his mistake.
Yes.
I don't know what you want to get to, Corey, but I would like to just think about what's happening because I think guys are starting to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Actually, that's kind of what I was going to go to. So go for it.
Oh, okay. No, I just, my guy is starting to heat up a little bit. Terrific Tommy Novak.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
And I mean, Braz can't lose his job from injury. I mean, Braz has to go. Braz has to play. You have to bring back the mutant line. So then do you break up the kid line? I don't think you break up the kid. Does he go? If Koivunen doesn't wake up, he'll probably go there.
Well, if you think about it, all the lines have been impacted, right? So at some point in December, Rickard Rakell's back.
Right.
When he comes back, he's going right to the top line with Sid and Rusty. I don't think that's debatable. And you're right. Brazeau's going to go right back on the left wing with Evgeny Malkin and Tony Mantha. There's no question. Okay, we know that fourth line. We keep forgetting, I think, about Nola Chari and how good he was for a stretch.
Right.
And it sounds silly saying it because nobody wanted him on the team 2 months ago. But for whatever reason, Lazat, Dewar, and Achari, that fourth line works. So I don't think you touch that line. So that leaves you the third line. Kindle's your center. Rucker's going to be your left wing. So on the right wing, I guess the question is it Koivunen or is it Tommy Novak if you're completely healthy? I suspect it would be Novak. He hasn't been great. He's been better. He did have a couple of really pretty primary assists in the game in Columbus. That was a nice game for him. So he's starting to bring some things to the table, Joe. I don't think he's
I think he had a good week, Josh. I think he's had a good week.
And he's not a complete player. You'd like to see him go to the net more. You'd like to see him shoot more, all that stuff. But you also see that skill level, and you don't want to take him out of the lineup, right?
No, it gets back to my thing of I think I went Hayes and Wilkes-Barre. Sorry. I know he's popular, but I've said it since September. Because then that makes Imama and Koivunen your popcorn eaters, right?
Right, and that's well, honestly, if Koivunen were coming out of the lineup, he's the one that would go down because they want him to play every night, which he should be, and that's fine. You can always bring him up if somebody gets hurt, so that's a possibility as well. And hey, Koivunen has a chance to play right now on this kid line. And if that line gets hot, then okay, maybe they have some other decisions to make. I don't know what they will be. And the reality is somebody else is going to get hurt because it's hockey, and that's the way it goes. So there's always going to be another lineup spot for somebody. But it's kind of exciting. I actually just wrote a column that just published a few minutes ago at The Athletic, where I wrote, if you're a Penguins fan, you have a right to feel pretty excited right now because they weren't great in November, but they kind of survived all these injuries. They're still in playoff position. And now every line's about to get better in the next couple of weeks when they get healthy. That is no small deal.
Yeah. No. And my kind of thought that I wanted to ask you guys about it was, I mean, it looks pretty clear that when they're healthy, they're a playoff team, especially in the East. Uh, it- can they survive though with injuries? Because like they don't have depth. That's the problem that bothers. Like you look at okay, like hey, we've got more than 12 NHL forwards, but it feels like we have almost three lines plus like two lines worth of fourth liners, if that makes sense. So it's like if they can be a playoff team, they can maybe do some damage in the playoffs, but like you lose a Raquel or you lose a Brezzo or both at the same time in the playoffs, like that's where I kind of felt like November went sideways for us. But what do you guys think? Is there enough depth? Can somebody step up, or is it going to have to be Tommy Novak and or Koivunen to figure it out?
Yes, I mean, but I did think that I it did go sideways. I think they had a little bit of Raquel, Brazo, and Achari fatigue. I don't think you lose everybody and feel the same way. And a little bit, I think, was a little bit, and I give Dubas, if not an A plus, an A minus, and I would give Muse the same thing. But I do think they could have maybe leaned on a Bros or somebody different than what than a Heinen or a Koppinen for a couple games there. I do think it got a little stale, got a little Selly-esque.
Yeah, they probably
put some energy.
They probably left that lineup intact a little too long, in my opinion. But okay, I get it. It's going to happen. They only have so much depth right now, as Corey alluded to. When you're a rebuilding team, you aren't always going to have these guys. But, if you need Danton Heinen for a couple of games, he's not going to kill you. He's got a history of being a guy who can score 15 goals at the NHL level, so that's okay. And to be honest, Corey, when I thought about your question and what kind of depth they have, can they survive with injuries, all I really thought about was Tristan Jarry. And if he keeps playing like this, yeah, they probably can survive a little bit. They probably are a playoff team if he keeps playing like this. If he doesn't, that becomes an issue because, like Joe said, Artie Shilov's all of a sudden, he was a total disaster his last couple of games. That late goal he allowed in Sweden in the first game over there, he doesn't seem to have recovered from that. And Miroshov looked pretty good. But, Miroshov, they ideally want to keep in Wilkes-Barre most of this year. Now, they won't do it if they need him. But I just keep going back to Jarry, and as crazy as it sounds on a team with Crosby and Malkin, in terms of making the playoffs, he's probably their single most important player.
I would agree with that, except for the fact that Sid is just playing like Sid.
That he is. He is on pace for 59 goals as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, if Sid wasn't Sid. But I will say this, though, and I'm going to ask Josh your opinion. What do you think is, I wrote this, 9 different articles in October, said they're very good. It's really up to Dubas if he wants to go for it or he doesn't at the deadline. But it really comes, so with that being said, in my opinion, it comes down to if Shilovs can't stop a beach ball, do you want Miroshov to learn how to play goaltender in Wilkes-Barre? Or do you want to bring him up to help Jarry? Because I think, and I've said this, I mean, maybe if you were listening to Puck Off or Herman TV the last 5 years, I always thought that one of the derelicts of duty on some GMs in the past was not having a backup goaltender and, the Casey DeSmiths of the world ruining our lives. Because if you have to come in, if you don't really get a day off, what's the point of you?
No, that's right. And especially,
it's like, at least, even if you take a loser point, or at least make it through 60 minutes.
Especially in an Olympic season, when there's so many back-to-backs coming, when there's a condensed schedule, you're going to need more than one goaltender. That there's no question about that. And I'm not ready to write off Shilovs. He's had a few bad games in a row. He was pretty good in October. Like we saw some positive things from him. But if he has a couple of more bad games, then there are some questions that need to be asked. They can pretty much ride Jarry until Christmas if they want. There's not that many back-to-backs. There's a couple. But even look at this week. They don't play till Thursday in Tampa. Jarry always plays well there. Going to have to play him there. Then they don't play till Sunday in Dallas. Why not play Jarry there again? Two of the best teams in the league. Yeah, go with your guy. So they have some time to let Shelov straighten himself out a little bit. And going back to something you said, Joe, maybe it was Corey, because both of you, but Kyle Dubas, and coming down the stretch here, what he does, how aggressive he can be. He's not going to go out and be some huge spender and mortgage any of the future, I promise you. But they have like 54 draft picks in the next 3 years or something absurd. There's nothing wrong with trading a third-round pick or something like that, and then going out and getting a veteran defenseman or a couple of guys who can help. I could see him doing something like that. He's not going to go out and get some huge name and give up a first-round pick, nor should he, given where the Penguins are right now. This season and what they're doing to me is kind of a bonus. You don't want to lose sight of the big picture, but he certainly, I don't think, would be, out of line to go, upgrade them at some point and give up one of these, many draft picks they have. And I could see something like that happening.
Well, I mean, I was just more or less thinking about if we're going to just throw Miroshov's development to the wind and bring him up and try to win some games. But I definitely don't think he's going to go out and get anybody. But I think it just comes down to if he lets a few people go.
Could be. And Miroshov, listen, maybe he's just ready. I don't know. Like he gave up a couple of shaky goals in his last outing, so I think some people are like, okay, he's not ready yet. Like, I don't know. He also had a shutout, and he looked pretty darn good to me. I think he's better than Shelov's right now. I'll tell you that much. And I don't know that it would hurt his development to be in Pittsburgh and maybe to not play every night or as often as he would. I know there's pros and cons there, but you don't want it to cost you a playoff opportunity just because you wanted him to play another month or so in Wilkes-Barre. You don't want to do that either. So some tough decisions to make, but keeping Tristan Jarry healthy and just praying to God that he keeps playing at this level, which nobody expected, but he's done it before. Those 2 All-Star games didn't just happen. Like he gets hot like this. If he can keep playing like this, it really changes their outlook a great deal.
On that note, Shelov's has tanked before.
Yeah.
This is not out of the ordinary for Shelov.
I mean, no one knows more than me. I picked him as Rookie of the Year, then he was in the minors.
Yeah. I do want to ask you a little bit about some smoke that we're hearing around Tristan Jarry's name, and then of course we've got to gush a little bit about the captain, Crosby, and his continued torture of the Flyers. But before we do that, I want to get into Mr. Bill Neofus, who has got to be thrilled with the game against the Flyers last night. And as I put it, it was chicken soup for the soul for me to watch them do that to the Flyers after the Steelers this weekend. And Bill strikes me as somebody who needed that same dose of medicine last night.
I don't want to put words into the mouth of our great sponsor, but he's a pretty good friend of mine, and we talk hockey daily. So I can pretty much say with certainty that if there's one player in the National Hockey League our sponsor, Bill Neofus, hates more than anyone else, and maybe the one person who would not be welcome at Neofus Insurance, it would be Garnett Hathaway, Bill's despised him for a decade now.
Me too.
He was greatly impressed with what Blake Lizotte did last night, I assure you. And he much enjoyed Boko, asking him to dance and politely being told no. Bill hates the Flyers, like so many good people from Western Pennsylvania. He enjoyed last night's performance, and you will enjoy visiting Bill and his unbelievable staff at Neofus Insurance Group. They are located just about 10 minutes north of downtown Pittsburgh in the North Hills. They will make your day better when you give them a call. Talk about hockey for a minute first. They like that, but you're really calling them about insurance. Whatever your insurance needs are, as we tell you every week, home insurance, car insurance, pet insurance, go up and down the list, whatever your needs are. They will help you. They will get you a good deal. And maybe more than anything, they'll make it easy for you to understand, because people like me, I try to figure out my insurance. I get so confused, and I just shut off the computer and just start watching a game, because I don't like to be an adult when it comes to stuff like that. They're adults. They will help you. So give our buddy Bill a call. It's 412-364-3388. I'll say it one more time if you need to write it down, 412-364-3388. Tell Bill we sent you, because he loves it when listeners of the program come his way.
And if you were driving around this morning, you would think, hey, I hope my insurance is in order.
Yeah.
Winter arrived. Yes, it did.
Yeah. That's
Call Bill.
and if we call Bill, and if you're Blake Lizotte or Boko and Mama, I think right now would be a great time to walk into Bill's office. You might get a discount on your policy after that game last night. So,
True.
but so before we get into Sid and what he's done to the Flyers, there was some smoke around, the Edmonton Oilers are strongly looking at Tristan Jarry's return to the lineup. Josh, have you heard anything about that? Is there, scouts at the games, anything like that you're hearing about seeing?
There's always scouts at games. I don't know where that report came from. Was Elliot Friedman involved in that in some capacity?
I think in some capacity.
Maybe.
He might have mentioned it as
He may have
something.
mentioned it. I mean, you can trust Elliot. He's really great at his job, and
It's only you two, the only two voices of hockey I completely trust.
Yeah, I haven't heard specifically that Edmonton's breathing down the Penguins' neck for him. But Jarry to Edmonton has always made sense. Tristan, as we know, won the Memorial Cup there, I think 11 years ago now. He lives there in the summers. He's trained with McDavid a lot over the years. So that alone, makes him intriguing. And he is a talented goaltender. And the National Hockey League doesn't have many of those right now. And Edmonton in particular, they've got a major goaltending problem. Now, if I were the Oilers, and I've been betrayed by goaltending in the past, not that goaltending is really why they lost to Florida, but still, if they feel like they need an upgrade there, like, would I trust Tristan Jarry to bring me to the promised land if I were the Oilers? No, I wouldn't, but maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe they're desperate enough, and let's give Jarry credit. He is playing really high level right now, so... And he's always been a guy who screamed out to me who could use a change of scenery. So we'll see. As far as I know, I don't think anything's imminent, but I think for the right deal, I still think Dubas would move him, given how close Miroshov is to being ready.
I don't have a problem with Jarry being moved if that's what Dubas wants to do. I just don't want Skinner and Wallman coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just take a first-round pick or a second-round pick or future considerations. Why do I want Stuart Skinner?
Yeah, take the salary off the books, give me a draft pick, whatever, and we'll go from there. No, I agree. But it's funny how everything changes all of a sudden. Because if I had told you guys 3 months ago, hey, the Penguins could trade Tristan Jarry right now to Edmonton,
like, sign me up.
I'll drive him to the airport, right? Now all of a sudden it's like, okay, but does what if we miss the playoffs by 2 points now? And what if it's because Shilov's had to play too much and Jarry was playing really great? It's funny how you can look at it that way, but I think if you're Dubas, you still look at the big picture. It's not a great contract. He's not a guy you're ever going to completely trust. So I think he would probably move him. But a lot of it depends on Miroshov, who, by the way, has been great since going back to Wilkes-Barre. First game, I think he stopped 28 to 29 or whatever. It's a matter of time until he's ready. We know that. So I don't think it's imminent. It strikes me as something that would still more likely happen in the summer than it would. We don't see goalies traded during the season very often for a reason. But it's something to be aware of, and it's kind of cool thinking the trade deadline's only 3 months away. If they're in the thick of things, it's actually going to be fascinating to see what they do.
In a weird way, I actually kind of trust Jarry this year.
I know what you mean.
He seems different. Now, you see him every day personally, Josh. So I only see what he does on the ice and his interviews and stuff. But I just have a just kind of. I mean, not to win a playoff series. That'd be crazy. I just need to make the playoffs.
Well, I feel like goalies can be like late bloomers, can't they? And he's been through a lot of crap, to bounce back.
I mean, I give him credit for what he did last year. How many guys go to Wilkes-Barre twice and still keep a good attitude and come back the next year and play like he has? That says something about his character. It really does. And I get the feeling with him, he's been through so much. It's almost like the hell with it. I'm going to stop thinking about everything. I'm just going to play. And, sometimes I think guys just get to the point, screw it. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to play. And I have that sense from him. And I thought his performance last night, even though the Penguins did outplay Philly, they were shorthanded 7 times in that game, including 2 5-on-3s. That was not an easy game for a goaltender. And not only was he good, Joe, but he was so aggressive. Like, I love the way he cut down angles on shots. That's when he's at his best, when he's coming out of the crease and challenging shooters. He looks so big and net.
Mhm.
Like, that just tells you he feels good about himself. I can't say enough about how impressed I am with him.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I don't count coming in relief cold. What's he had 2 bad games?
Right. And he's never
Yeah.
been any good at coming in relief. Like,
No, I don't.
he's not
put
comfortable
that,
with it.
I don't put that on him. That's what I'm saying. I don't
And
count
that game was
So,
over anyway. So, yeah. Right.
Yeah, so other than that, he's had like 2 bad games. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he had one bad period in Toronto, and I'm not so sure that he wasn't hurt in that period and that was the problem. Because he didn't play for 3 weeks after that game. So, no, I mean, he's been really, really good. And he's just oozing confidence right now. That's why I said if I'm the Penguins, especially with the way Shelovs has looked, I would ride Tristan for a couple of weeks here without hesitation.
Yeah. He just looks so big. Like, I mean, when he's on, he looks like he's twice the size of the net.
Yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah.
huge. And to me, like, people don't understand that really, like, that aggressive nature. It's one thing to be aggressive, but you're doing it right that way.
Mhm.
It affects every single shot the other team takes
Sure it does.
in so many ways.
No,
It's just it affects the team in their thought process, how long it takes them to pull a shot off. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge. So I'm very happy for Jari. Like, good for him. Whether he stays here, I hope he stays here. We go to the playoffs, and I'd love to see a little bit of a run. But what if he did get traded? I thought to myself, like, hey, I'd like to see him go up there and have success. That'd be good for him. So
And if I'm not mistaken, I don't have the schedule in front of me. I don't think they have back-to-back until December
It's a
13th
while.
and 14th or something like that. I think so. And I think that might be the only one the rest of December or until the end of the month. So they can ride them, and they should.
There's
Absolutely.
very few former Penguins I have ill will towards. I mean, there's Reeves, there's Daniel Winnick, there's Brassard.
yeah,
It takes a real jag off for me not to wish you well.
Casey DeSmith.
Yeah. DeSmith. Yeah. Joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we get to the
I hope
joke,
we get DeSmith. I hope we get DeSmith and light him up like a Christmas tree.
So if that happens, I implore you to fly down to Dallas and join me for that game. Enjoy your company.
Unfortunately, that'd be a hell of a test because is great. And I mean, the Avalanche are getting Nikushkin back tonight as if they need Nikushkin.
Oh my God.
I mean, but I'll tell you, Dallas, that first line with Robertson, the Sheriff, Wyatt, and what's his name from Colorado via Carolina, Mikko Rantanen.
Oh,
I mean, are you kidding me?
No, we know Dallas and Colorado are going to play in the second round, and yeah, those might be on paper the 2 best teams in hockey. Colorado, by the way, has still only lost 1 game in regulation, which is
absurd.
On that point, Philly's got like 6 or 7 shootout wins.
Yep.
If you take those away, they're really like they're a mediocre team. I will say Tocchet, and of course we love Tocchet as much as he's
done a good job with that roster.
He's done a great job with that. You look at that roster. That roster minus. I do like the kid that got hurt, Forster. He's a good player.
Yeah,
and I always respect the Konechny. The rest of that team is pretty much garbage.
No, he just doesn't have a lot of talent to work with. And you mentioned that the Penguins. I tweeted this morning. There are only 4 teams in the entire National Hockey League who have fewer regulation losses than the Penguins this season. Penguins only lost 7 games in regulation. I know that's not Avs level, but I think it's the Avs, the Kings, Vegas, and Dallas are the only 4 teams who have fewer regulation losses than the Penguins. That tells you just how competitive night in and night out they have been. That is really a telling statistic, and they still have, I believe, the 7th best plus-minus goal differential in the National Hockey League, which I always like using that number if you want to kind of get a collective feel for how well a team is playing, for how good a team is. You have the 7th best goal differential in the league. That's pretty good.
Well, if you hit the button on NHL.com, for league, we're 7th or 8th in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's what killed me about losing to Toronto, because I thought the first loss to Toronto after the second period was maybe the most dominant period of Penguin hockey since Mario and Artie and Ronnie were on the same team. I mean, that was Yager Mario stuff, and to lose to them made me sick, and then to lose Saturday made me sick because all you have to hear is the media in Toronto. It's just terrible.
They're
By the
always
way-
they're always very rational.
Speaking of that game, I know the Penguins lost 7-2. Like, I didn't feel like they were dominated to that extreme.
No,
Like, I thought Shilov's had a really bad game. I thought the Leafs were very opportunistic. The Penguins could have scored 5 or 6 goals that night. Like, they actually played with a lot of energy. They had Mantha flubbed on an empty net. Lizotte was stopped on a breakaway. I think they had a couple of other posts, like a couple glorious opportunities. They just didn't finish. Like, I didn't think they were good that game, but that felt like it should have been a 6-5 game, not a 7-2 game. So I didn't sense that the Penguins, and I think they knew that, and I don't think they were as discouraged after that game as you may have thought they would be, because it wasn't really like they were that savagely outplayed. I don't really think they were. Just kind of a weird game.
Yeah, it was like there's times when you lose and you're like, wow, that felt like, I
Yeah.
mean, there's times when you lose 3-1 and it felt like it was an 8-1
Boy, we
loss.
sucked. We were never going to win this game, right?
Yeah, that one, like you said, if Shilovs doesn't play, or plays better, that's probably a 1-goal game. Maybe 2 goals with an empty net. So I didn't feel.
well,
I didn't feel
it
bad
just
about
hurt, guys, because I was watching that game on a National Hockey League feed, so I had to have the Hockey Night in Canada team,
Uh-huh.
and
Sorry.
just what a but. I mean, you talk about a sinking ship. I mean, that crew. I mean, they don't even really have Elliott on anymore. They don't have the great, and I mean the great Nick Kyprios. Kipper. They have Ron McLean, who's a turncoat. I mean, he couldn't stab Don Cherry in the back any faster. The only guy I have less. The only our old fat drunk GM or president of hockey. The only guy I have less respect for in hockey, who has a better. Everyone. Oh, Ron McLean. Ron McLean stabbed Don Cherry in the back.
People get mad at me when I say this, but I've met Don Cherry. He was like the nicest guy in the world. I think a lot of people don't understand Don's an entertainer, and he doesn't always take himself as seriously as everybody else did. I don't think so. I still remember, Joe, my first ever road game on the Penguins beat. It was 2009, beginning of the season. We're in Toronto, my first ever road game. So I'm like, no clue what to do, right? And I'm walking around the press box at the end of the first intermission, and there's this little television where Cherry comes on for the coach's corner, and every member of the Toronto media was just standing in a semicircle, like around it, listening to it like it was gospel. And I remember thinking, like, this is pretty cool, actually. This is pretty funny. Like, I think I took a picture of it. Like, look at all these people like standing around Don Cherry, but it was okay. I actually kind of miss him saying idiotic things during games. It was entertaining.
Plus the fact, you know how much charity work he did.
Oh,
more than everybody else on that panel combined.
No,
So-
Don Cherry truly loves Canada, whatever you think about him. He really does. I didn't like the way his career was unceremoniously ended.
Oh, McLean's and that panel now is just, oh my God, the lady, what is she doing? And then is there anyone ever been more mid than Bieksa? And they pretend like he was Scott Stevens.
No, it's that
it's eerie to what it used to be.
Right.
When it used to be Elliott and Kipper and Don Cherry to what it is now, it's like a joke.
Yeah, I'm sorry you had to watch the Canadian feed, Joe. That sucks.
It was really good in the 16-17 Cup years. Back then, I mean, before ESPN took over broadcasting rights, I would use a VPN to be able to watch through the NHL app. And then I could watch the Canadian broadcast because I always was like, oh, they're so much better. No offense, local guys. It was just, especially, I mean, once it got to NBC for the playoffs, I was like, no, give me the CBC broadcast but it's gone downhill since. And Don Cherry was great. Like, he was entertaining, it was buffoonery. I mean, it's fun, people like wrestling for a reason, you know what I mean?
It's just the hot stove with Kipper. The hot stove with Kipper and Elliott was the best.
Yeah,
it was like you waited all week to see what they were going to say. Now they got this chick up there, blah blah blah. But what are you talking about?
Their intermission reports were like must see TV. So, before we get to something that's not must see TV, which would be the Steelers,
do we have to?
Yeah,
we do. I know.
let's just gush a little bit. I want to point this out. Sidney Crosby, 59 goals and 137 points against the Philadelphia Flyers. Has somebody ever owned a franchise like this? Like I'm trying to remember Mario. Like Mario had some of his franchises that he really beat up on, but I don't know if it was ever to this level of dominance, this level of hatred from the fans to the player.
Yeah, somebody asked me last night, did Mario have a team that he did this against? I said, not really. Like, he put up 4 points a game against the Sharks, but that was just like for fun. He didn't actually hate them; they just stunk, so it was fun for him. Like I seem to recall him particularly enjoying playing against the Rangers. They didn't exactly ever shut him down, but I don't think there was one team that he would isolate on. And with Sid, like it very clearly goes back to his rookie year and the Darian Hatcher and Ken Hitchcock stuff. Like he's never let that go. I mean, that was embedded in his mind from the time he remembered how he was treated when he was 18 there. And 20 years later, he's still taking it out on those people. And I mean, you can see it, the look. He doesn't like to admit it. He acts like, just another game. But you know the look on his face, like after games. It's not just another game to him, especially in that building. He absolutely loves it, Joe.
Well, yeah, and I blame Captain Kangaroo, Ken Hitchcock, for most of the problems that Sid's had for his reputation in the league.
Yeah. He kind of soiled his reputation just because of the way Hitchcock.
Yeah, because he beat him. Have another donut, Ken Hitchcock. He's on the Andy Reid diet plan.
That makes me think one of the best quotes ever. Who was that said, "Oh, why don't you have another donut, you fatty?"
Schoenfeld to the referee.
That Koharski, was it?
Yeah, Koharski. Yeah. No, but it's like because he couldn't beat him, so he had to had to talk about him being a whiner. It's like and let's face it, Sid could have done things a little differently his first couple of years, but after that, it's like the kid's 18 years old and you're breaking his teeth.
That's right. No, and he, that's followed him around forever, though. I mean, he still has to hear it from certain fan bases, and the way they've treated him in Philly over the years. On one level, you can say it's disgusting, but on another level, it's great because it just brings out such emotions in fans. I don't think professional sports has rivalries like that as much as it once did. I don't really think Steelers fans hate the Ravens the way they did 20 years ago, and I don't think Lakers fans hate the Celtics the way they did in the 80s. Like you can go down the list. I don't think there's as much of that in sports, and I don't think that's a good thing. Like I loved watching Ohio State, Michigan Saturday. Sorry guys, but it was like you could just feel how much those teams hate each other. Like I watched Auburn, Alabama. You could feel it. Like there's not many rivalries like that anymore. And Pittsburgh, Philly, especially the game in October when it got a little crazy at the end of the game, like that's good. Like we want Penguins Flyers hostility in our lives.
No, I mean I think right now it's one of the 2 or 3 best rivalries, and it's always been in the top 3, but it hasn't wavered. It hasn't wavered.
I know it's toned down a little bit, but Edmonton and Calgary for a couple of years, especially when Tkachuk was there.
Right.
Oh boy, that was some intense stuff, and that's good. I think that's so important for the league. I think we get away from that sometimes. So yeah, they treat Sid like crap in Philly. Let them keep doing it because he obviously uses it as motivation. He's one of those athletes, guys like Michael Jordan. Sid's got a little bit of that in him. There's like a killer streak in him that just give him a reason to be motivated, and he will be even better, even sharper, and do anything to beat you. And we've seen it over the years with him. He just doesn't like those people. He's acknowledged it over the years, and I think he takes great pleasure in scoring goals. That's like 29 goals he scored in that building now. It's ridiculous. It really is.
It's one of the best. I mean, I know I told him before, but that was one of the road games I've gone to as a fan. Was in Philly, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all decked out, all Penguin stuff, and just accept my fate and see what happens. And it was in 2010, and the Flyers scored in like the first minute. And I looked at my brother. I was like, this is miserable. And then Sidney Crosby has 2 goals and 2 assists, and the Penguins win 5-1. And I was like, this is great. This is the best day of my life.
And you lived to tell about it, which is great. So.
Yeah, nothing. Oh, not for almost getting jumped after the game. That almost happened, but
Here's something to make you happy though, Corey. I just want to throw this out while we're throwing that. Penguins prospects lead NCAA in every category.
Oh my God! I know.
Will Horkoff, 18 goals, 26 points for the University of Michigan, and Zam Plant, 17 assists.
Yeah, and like you cannot Will Horkoff. We cannot discount the fact that he's listed as a sophomore. He's 18. He was a senior in high school last year.
Yeah,
technically. I mean, it's I went up to watch them play against Gavin McKenna, and I know like people probably say I'm crazy for saying it, but I'm like I think Will Horkoff was the best player on the ice that night. Like, I think he was better. Not saying he's going to be better than Gavin McKenna down the road, but I don't see how this kid stays at Michigan if he keeps playing like this. The Penguins are going to give him a call and say, "Hey, we got a little piece of paper for you to sign, and we'd like you to be in the NHL."
Martone, the Flyer prospect and Flyer fan in Michigan State, they go at it. Michigan versus
That's this
Michigan
weekend.
State on CBS Sports Network Friday night. So the Penguins are off on Friday night. So if you're at home, check it out. And just one more. I just want to point: if we do bring Horkoff up at the deadline, that'd be great. Or when he graduates when his season's over. But an interesting thing, Mike was talking to me about this. He asked me if I thought Gino wanted to. I said he asked me why we're playing so well, and I said I just think Gino has something in him this year. He wants to go out with his best effort and on top and in the playoffs. And he said, "Do you think he wants to play another season?" And I said, "Well, he wants to play." He said, I think according to Josh Yowie, he only wants to play for the Penguins. Is that correct? That's your report, right?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so let me so then if you say that, okay, then there's Sid, there's Kindle, there's Horkoff, and then he's not a fourth line center. So does Dubas throw out 1/4 of Mount Rushmore
just for the young budding star?
Does he keep kicking the can down?
Well, I will say
I know it's a long way to go, and I know we have other things to talk about.
Yeah, no, it's okay. No, I mean, listen, Horkoff is a guy that a lot of people are rightfully excited about. I actually got so bored during the Penguins-Leafs game Saturday when it was 7-2 or whatever. I went on to ESPN Plus, and they actually had the Harvard-Michigan game on, and I saw Horkoff win it in overtime. Everybody in the organization is thrilled beyond words with that kid. I don't think we're going to see him in Pittsburgh for another year at least, though. I really... That sure sounds like the plan for him. And big guys usually take a little longer, those big power forward types. But I think it's pretty clear this is a kid who has a chance to be a top 6 force. They really, really like him. I think he'll probably be a winger in the NHL, although we'll see. Probably 2 years away if I had to guess. But the only thing about him when the Penguins drafted him was, well, he does everything. He's huge. He's this, he's that. He just hasn't learned how to finish yet. Well, he's learned how to finish. That's you don't score that many goals against NCAA competition without knowing how to finish. So often that's the last thing to come. This might be a pretty special player.
Yeah,
you answered my question too, because then if he plays wing, he could be the young gun on the mutant line.
He could. No,
and Gino will still be here.
Yeah.
He can really play. I don't know, Corey. I know you've seen him play in person. I haven't yet. In college, I'd like to at some point this year. But the numbers speak for themselves, and I've talked with a lot of scouts about him. They're like, "Oh my God, we had no idea he was going to be this good this fast." So they have very high hopes for him.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get some kind of pilgrimage together. I think we should all go to Ann Arbor to watch him play and have him come on the show. That'd be. Yeah, and if he gets a little bit bigger too, he's got a little bit of that lankiness to him, you know. So I'm sure
he looks like Couturier on the ice. That's how he's built right now. But he's only 18 though, so he's going to fill out, I would think.
Yeah, he doesn't have that cheesy haircut and that stupid smile, does he?
No. Very handsome young man. He doesn't have any of that bullshit. No.
Yeah. So speaking of bullshit, might as well talk about the Steelers now.
Couturier looks like all the Flyers players just like rats.
They all have that similar look. You're right.
Yeah, they have that white trash look.
Drew always had that more than anybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had Thanksgiving with about 40 Flyer fans because I was in Philly.
Oh God.
And it was I only heard two things that were one, someone was complaining that Sid broke both of Giroux's wrists. Like what?
On a face-off.
You never heard about the reason. But the funny thing was I was late for a group photo, and they're like, "Oh, leave it to the Penguin fan to be relaxing or sleeping." I go, well, "I was resting on all my cups."
I hope Drew didn't get. I hope the police didn't come when Sid did that, because Drew would have probably hit on all of them. His memory serves.
This is true. So the Steelers. I mean,
Jesus Christ! I don't even
like what I've been on the end, like, my dad called me last week, goes like, you've been on the get rid of Tomlin train for like 5 years, but I finally see it, yeah, like it's over. And he just doesn't look like he cares. Like the team doesn't look like they care. They have no will, they have no fight. We're playing a quarterback that can't hand the ball off because he has one broken wrist, and it's like we're playing against a team where we could have just handed the ball off and probably run it down their throats. I mean, everybody in the Steelers fandom, everybody in Steelers Nation knew the moment that they were playing their backup tackles. You're like, wow, TJ Watt's not going to have a sack and we're going to suck. You just knew it. I don't know what to say about the Steelers anymore. The worst part is they've created a level of apathy in the Steelers fan base.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting there. I thought I grew up. I thought I became a mature adult that didn't get worked up about Steelers games anymore. And then it dawned on me halfway through the game. I was like, oh, they just haven't been a legitimate threat to win anything for half a decade.
They're just a poisoned football team right now. And I've already heard people say, watch, they'll go down to Baltimore and win. That's just the kind. No, they won't. Nah, they're terrible. They're going to get their asses kicked this week. They're going to lose that game like 31-7. I don't say that because I want them to. I'm just telling you, I think that's the trajectory. They look like a completely broken, dysfunctional team. Maybe it needs to come to this, Joe. Like, maybe if you're going to have real change, you need to kind of hit rock bottom. And I know a lot of people think, Tomlin will never be fired. Maybe he will. Like, maybe the Rooneys are finally going to see, what we're doing here is not working.
The sad part of all this is not that they stink, but that they have no pride.
Right.
As Steelers. And, back, my dad would always say in the 50s and 60s, the Steelers stunk. And you'd always beat the Steelers, but then you'd lose the next week because they beat the hell out of you. And, from the 70s Steelers to the 80s to the 90s to Harrison and Palomalu, no one, and, in Casey Hampton, no one ever ran it up our ass.
That's right.
And that's what people are doing. This defense is getting run over. Hey, I don't care. We had Bubby Brister, we had Neil, we had offenses, we had Duck. No one ever physically ran it up our ass like they're doing to us. And it's embarrassing. And then the way they act is an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to Mean Joe and to Franco and to Noel and to Cowher. Why do you think James Harrison's going off everywhere? Because he's proud to be a Steeler, and they're tarnishing it. And that's why every time I say I don't want to hear anything about TJ Watt, all time this, all that, I always say he's not one of the 5 best linebackers in Steeler history, and he's proving it now.
Yeah, really well said, Joe. I totally agree with you. Even in some of the Cowher had a couple of bad teams around the turn of the century, but you couldn't run on them. They were tough. They showed pride. They played the way we view Steelers, how Steelers are supposed to play, right? And that goes back to the 70s and always paying homage to what might be the greatest team that ever lived. And this team is so soft. Not only did they give up 250 yards rushing, but on that very day, you have the leader of the defense, Cam Hayward, complaining that the other team's quarterback hit him in the belly and how insulted he was. Like, shut up, Cam. Like, what are you doing? Like, the quarterback committed an act of violence against you and you're going to whine about it. Maybe go hit him. Maybe
Yeah.
hit somebody. Maybe, the rest of you and your fellow defensive linemen shouldn't be getting driven back 5 yards every play. Like that. I was just blown away when I heard him say that. That was astonishing.
Like everybody was like, something big must have happened that caused Cam Hayward to react like that to Josh Allen. Then afterwards, he's like, he kneed me in the stomach. I was like, what?
And
like,
you could see the play, like Hayward was laying on him, so Allen just like raised his leg to get him off of him. And apparently Allen said to him, like, yeah, I had to get you off of me. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if they gotten that soft, Joe, I guess they have. This is a franchise that wants Jack Lambert wants that quarterback should wear pink skirts or whatever. Now you've got, the quarterback hit me too hard. Shut up, Cam.
Yeah, he wanted more money to get beat up by a quarterback.
That's right.
mean, it all came down to me, and I've said this before, is just whenever it's 3rd and 7 in the fourth quarter, and there's TJ Watt having a Gatorade.
It's soft.
And you would have had to shoot Mean Joe Green to get him out of the game.
Yeah. And you know what the Cam Hayward thing screams to me of someone who realizes he's never going to win, and he probably was never even close. Like that's like one of those classic overreactions at the end of a playoff series, whenever like the team knows they're out. So then the guy like takes like a little offense to one thing and just flips out. I'm like, what are you doing, Cam? Like you need me in the belly.
No,
like
that might well be the case. And also
soft.
And listen, the play calling, they were never going to win that game. But it's like 4th and a long 2, and you're handing off Kenneth Gainwell up the middle. And did you see the reaction from Rodgers? Like literally, as he was getting tackled for a loss, Rodgers gave it the Pittsburgh wave like that, which was clearly directed toward the play call. And Rodgers Rodgers didn't have a good game. He's not playing well, but he was actually heating up on that drive. Like, for God's sake, let him go down on his own sword. That was just, and you know what pisses me off too, Joe? Like, listen, Rodgers hasn't been as good the last month. We know that. But he's got like a broken nose. He's playing with a broken wrist. And he's still out there taking a beating because he obviously gives a shit. And how many of his teammates can say they give a shit?
Well, like Patrick Queen reciting his Pro Bowls to Trey Essex, who has 2 Super Bowl rings. They just have no dignity. They just have none.
It's the least likable Steelers team of our lifetime.
By far. And
I like AB and Lev Bell way more. At least those guys showed up on Sundays, even if they were assholes.
Well, at least one of them did.
Well, for the most part. But you know what I mean? At least they seem to take some pride in winning games, at least.
Winning just these guys seem like these guys seem like NBA players. Like winning's like 5th on their most important thing to do.
100%.
The whole franchise just needs a
reset.
Complete do-over, doesn't it? You can just feel it.
The culture has got to get shocked.
The culture, just everything. The lack of talent. I don't think they have as much talent as people think. I think they're too old. I think they're poorly coached. How many Bills fans were there, Joe? Looked like about 20,000 people wearing red and blue hoodies. Like, that's not good.
Tom Brady calls games, right? And he's allowed to work with the Raiders, right?
Right.
Okay. I think the Steelers need to hire Bill Cowher as just
executive VP,
just an overseer.
Yeah.
Just to sit in an office somewhere, just be like, you don't act like a Steeler. Like,
I'd be okay with that.
Like, we don't need you anymore. He's a Pittsburgh guy. He's from Pittsburgh. He's a Steeler coach. He's in the Hall of Fame. It's like just to oversee everything, not to coach the team, not to be just to have everyone's best interests.
And I don't want Mike Tomlin anywhere near the next franchise QB. I don't want him at the draft. I don't want him, it's not just I don't want him coaching. I don't want his fingerprints on anything that goes on in the future. I don't think he's equipped to handle it. I don't think he's equipped to put together a team that's going to win in today's NFL. I don't want him anywhere near it.
I don't want Arthur Smith around it.
No.
Why would you want Tomlin and Arthur Smith around a 22-year-old quarterback with talent?
Well, and this is the derelict of duty, like not having a backup goaltender. How do you not have a number 2 wide receiver?
Oh, yeah. There was
how do you for 2 years not have a number 2 receiver?
There was one play I think it was the second quarter, maybe Rodgers actually made a really nice throw. And then you remembered Calvin Austin was 5'2" and he just couldn't
Yep.
bring it down. I think Tony Romo even said, yeah, if you have like a bigger guy there or if maybe he brings it down, like, because it was a perfect throw, but your number 2 receivers, like I saw Calvin Austin in person in September. Nice kid. He's got to be 5'6". He's the smallest NFL player I've ever seen by far. He's like
Yeah.
smaller than Gary Anderson. That's your number 2 receiver. Like, I don't know who
I
Roman
think I say Gary Coleman.
I don't know who Roman Wilson pissed off. Obviously, they don't like him that much. But you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers and have no weapons and play 3 tight ends every play, but then never throw to Pat Fryermuth, and you still don't run the ball that well.
I'm convinced Tomlin would make any offensive player suck. If George Pickens was still here, he'd have like DK Metcalf numbers right now.
You wouldn't have the numbers he has. I'll tell you
exactly.
that. I agree.
It's hubris is the word, right? Like,
yep.
Isn't it funny if Tomlin would have just left like 3 years ago, and he could be sitting on the set at ESPN or wherever he's at, he would be God,
making a ton of money, less stress. I know, still be in the Hall of Fame, sure.
Oh, of course.
No, yeah. I agree. And I do think we see this in sports. We saw it with Dan Bilesma, who I like and I have respect for. But guys like him and Tomlin, I think when they win championships at a really young age, they both were in their 30s. I think when you're that successful that young, you're not really ever going to change what you did. Sometimes you have to change with the times. And I truly think the game has passed Mike Tomlin by. I absolutely believe that. Even though he's still a young man for a coach, he's been in the NFL for more than 25 years. It's just a different game now. Not many people can adapt the way Andy Reid or Bill Belichick did for that long. It's just, most people can't.
Is he just in the forest and he can't see the trees or whatever that term is? Because I don't know how you can just watch any other NFL game and just see the people throw the ball downfield.
Maybe.
I don't know how you can miss that fact.
Maybe
you need 3 wide receivers that can all catch the. I said this. How can Alabama have 3 NFL receivers and the Steelers don't?
Well, I agree, and maybe he's always been something of a fraud, and maybe when he showed up, he had Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians and guys like that who made him look a hell of a lot better than he was. And maybe he brought a lot of energy, and I'm not saying Tomlin doesn't have his strengths, but he clearly he inherited a much better coaching staff than the one he put together. I don't think there's any denying that.
Oh God! I mean, if it wasn't for his coaching staff that he inherited, we don't win another Super Bowl.
Right. Look at Terrell Austin's numbers, like at other NFL stops. This has never been a good defensive coordinator anywhere he has been.
Well, no. I've always said that Tomlin's the guy you want to hang out with. He's the guy. He's the guy you want to Monday through Saturday. You love him as your coach.
Yeah.
If you're casting a movie, he's a great coach. They make no halftime adjustments.
No.
Like, what do they do? They all go get orange slices at halftime? I mean, what do they do?
And they have an ongoing NFL record. I think it's 62 games now in a row where they've not scored more than 7 points in the first quarter. You know, teams usually like script out the first 10 or 15 plays. Like, there's a reason they've only had 7 points or fewer for like the equivalent of 4 straight seasons in every single game. And look at what they do on the first drive after halftime. I mean, it's all you need to know about.
I think somebody said there are 6 games that they were leading. I think it was 6 games or 4 games, and they're 0-4. They were leading at halftime and started.
They've had the lead in every game this season, I think.
Yep. They've had the lead.
I think there were only 2 teams.
Yeah, Rob King said the other teams that have had a lead in every game are like 24-5.
Something like, I mean, it's.
Well, that's the thing. They're not devoid of talent.
No.
That's what I don't understand about that defense. They run the same play 10 times in a row. You think you just say, you know what, we're going to put 5 guys right there and tackle somebody.
And you can see
how does that,
like, there are people on, like, former coaches who know the game really well, who like Tomlin, who don't want to take shots at him. Like, I was watching Rex Ryan on ESPN the other day. And he likes Tomlin, so he doesn't want to. But he even said, like, I can't believe I'm watching the Pittsburgh Steelers defense right now, which is really his way of saying, like, what's going on there? Like, what are they doing? Because it's not like, even if they're old, it's not like T.J. Watt and Highsmith and Hayward and Herbig, like Queen, that Jalen Ramsey. These guys don't all suddenly suck. Like, it doesn't work that way.
That's what I say. Burn it. all down. Bring it down. Just
They have
tear
to.
it down to the studs and start over.
Yeah, they need they need a seismic change in that organization. It's way past overdue.
Yeah. So, well, you know who doesn't is the Penguins, because Kyle Dubas has done that for us. He's turned us around. I absolutely love it. And you know, ladies and gentlemen, just enjoy it. Enjoy your captain, Sidney Crosby. One play, by the way, that one play where he was laying down and reached around and poked the puck off. Like, who does not take a penalty there?
Is that on Tage Thompson, I think?
Yeah, one of the most
Yes,
unbelievable defensive plays I've ever seen. So if you guys are not
Just
packing the building to watch Sidney Crosby
keep
play,
enjoying him. You know,
I
Like, by
thought
the
that
way-
might have. I'm sorry, Joe. I thought that
It
might
was
have been
the-
Jari's one of his better performances was against Buffalo. He made some 10-bell saves to save that.
outstanding.
game.
And
Yeah.
Sid, by the way, has 18 goals in 25 games this season. Second most he's ever had through 25 games. Not bad.
yeah, I think everybody should be doing themselves. They're doing a disservice if you don't go down and watch the captain while he's playing like this. So enjoy it, and hopefully we'll have a couple more wins under our belt when we talk to you guys next week.